I got 6. Okay, we call the meeting to order. It's a regular meeting of the Village of Corrales governing body. Is that going to be online?
He already is.
Oh, he already is. Okay, good. How about John?
I don't see him. I did not hear from him.
Okay. So I'd ask that you guys put your phones on vibrate or turn them off. And then once you've done that, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes. Yeah.
Counselor Miera.
Here. Here, sir.
Counselor Woolman.
Here.
Counselor Knight.
Here.
Counselor Murray.
Here.
Counselor Burkett.
Here.
And Counselor Alsobrook? Not quite here. Okay. So I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So move. Second.
And a second. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. First, we're going to have a presentation by Fire Chief Anthony Martinez to bring us up to date on how fire suppression is moving through the village, how many fire hydrants we have, and how long it'll be before we can squirt that hose down in the bosque.
Mayor, councilors, Administrator Curry, thank you. Take this out.
You can walk around if you want.
Can everyone hear me okay? Well, every time I come up here, it's like I'm doing this, so, okay.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm gonna try to just kind of let you know where we're at and what we have planned for the future of the fire suppression system here in Corrales. I was asked to kind of come in and just talk to the council and members of the community and online. There's been a lot of questions lately about, these hydrants are popping up in our right of ways, easements, and it's drawn a lot of attention on, hey, chief, when am I going to get a hydrant near me? And they may not be in the immediate area, but I could assure you it's our long-term plan to try to get a hydrant every 500 or 1,000 feet to either every commercial or residential home in Corrales. The limitation is budget, but the imagination and the planning is not limited. We are definitely in the process of planning, foresight, looking at the village as a whole. We're focused on fire suppression. That's what we're focused on, but we are putting infrastructure in the ground that is drinking water quality. So, as you know, we have different water tanks throughout the village of Corrales. We have the fire substation, 54,000 gallons. We have Loma Larga, 82,000 or 84,000. We have the main fire station, which is 120,000. We have the rec center, which is close to 40,000. We have the village hall, which is about 35,000. And we have the elementary school, which is 60,000. Out of all those water sources and tanks, we have 3 pumping stations. We have Loma Larga, which the water is at that tank goes through a pump house, has 4 hydrant booster pumps. It's on a single phase system. Each pump is 250 gallons per minute, and it's all based on demand. So if we open up a hydrant and we're flowing, let's say 500 gallons a minute, only 2 pumps are going to turn on. If we start increasing the flow, the 3rd pump, and then the 4th pump. The main fire station pumping station is 120,000 gallons. It also goes through a pump house. There we have 3-phase power, so we only have 1 pump. If we open up a hydrant and that pump turns on, it's 1,000 gallon per minute pump. So it's designed when it's on, and it's designed to flow up to 1,000 gallons a minute at roughly 60 PSI. The rec center is the 3rd pumping station. It has a same exact pump as the main station because it has 3-phase power. And that pump also is designed when it turns on, it's 1,000 gallons a minute. Recently, we have tied in, thankfully, the administration, your support, legislation, we were able to make the connection between the Loma Larga pumping station and the main fire station pumping station. So what that means is we have the pipe connected via Old Church Road. We met in the middle. It's an 8-inch line. We take both systems and we increase the capacity. So now we add the 120,000 plus the 84,000. So now we have increased our water capacity for fire suppression. We've also increased the redundancy of our systems. Loma Larga, some of you that live on the west side of Loma Larga, when your power's out, you may call your friend that lives on the east side of Cross Road, but they got power. It's a different electrical grid. I don't know where the cutoffs are at, but I've seen it when we have power outages. Sometimes you have power outages on the west side of Loma Larga, but the east side of Corrales is okay. We've also had power outages where it's the whole village wide. But when I say by increasing our redundancy, so now we have the two systems, two separate fire pump systems, two electrical grid systems, and both stations have backup generators now. So, that's comforting to know that, you know, if you open up a hydrant somewhere along this system that's linked together, we have backups to a backup. And some have asked me why I parked an old fire truck at Loma Larga. Well, the old fire truck there still works. It's 1990. But the way we design our water tanks is in the event of a power failure or the generator don't start or the pump house burns down, we can still get a fire truck and hook it up to the tank, get water out of the tank and pump it into our non-domestic system. So we could pump into the hydrant and we could supply that line all the way north if we need to. So there's a lot of thought that has gone into this system. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little briefing on that. It's not just a tank and a house and a pump. It's a lot of thought to make sure that we have a plan to get water out of those tanks. Moving forward, so APS has made the connection to their fire suppression system via Corrales Road underneath. They paid for the connection, they bored. So now the Loma Larga main fire station pumping station supports the school fire suppression system. Right now during construction, their 60,000 gallon water tank is turned off because they're doing demo and construction. But the Village of Corrales system is still supplying their sprinklers, their hydrants, so there was no life safety issue. APS has been kind enough to allow us to connect to their system, and that's what started the project on Andrews Lane. So we invested, you know, legislative money to go down Andrews, and we have installed 6 fire hydrants currently. The last hydrant on this project is going to be installed Thursday. This hydrant is important because it's going to be in the MRGCD right away at the end of Dixon Gate, as close as we can get to the Bosque. And for those of you that are going down there and walking and looking at the clear ditch and walking in the river, you see it on the news. We have a little bit of water in our river, but it's, you know, it's hard to put a fire pump into that. So we're very excited to get that hydrant up and running, in service, and that's kind of in the center of the Village of Corrales in towards the Bosque and the Bosque Preserve. So a lot of good things are happening. The next phase of that is going to be from basically the water tank behind the elementary school. We're going to go south. It's about 2,800 feet of pipe, 8-inch. We're planning on putting 6 fire hydrants on that system, on that run. To include a hydrant, we're going to come down La Entrada in our right of way and try to put a hydrant right here by the village complex to help support and protect our infrastructure, but not only that, but all the businesses within that hydrant location. So, so again, that's going to be I think we're now in phase 2 of the Andrews project, and we're looking at about a month out to do that project. We have our bidding is complete. I'm doing the materials estimation right now. We try to keep the costs down so we could put more pipe in the ground. So we have a contractor that does the work. We do a lot of in-kind, in-house, the village, Tanya, my staff. I buy all the materials separately so I can keep the costs down. We provide water for excavation and stuff because we have the tools to do that. We have fire trucks and we go and fill up their portable water tanks. So it keeps the cost down. So the contractor doesn't have to rent a water truck or so I could put more pipe in the ground. So we're almost complete with that. And I also wanted to give an update on Academy. I think I mentioned that, you know, at Loma Larga, we're going to run underneath the Loma Larga ditch, and we have 3 fire hydrants that we have installed on the commercial structures or access to the commercial structures over on Academy Drive. So that protects the Orion, the Nieto Custom Builders, and the Seventh-day Adventist school and properties out there. So I think I covered it. We've been busy, I should say. So I'll stand for any questions. I hope that answers some of your questions.
Counselor Knight?
Thank you, Mayor. I know you've been working towards the east side of the village, but, you know, on Loma Larga, the last fire hydrant is at West La Entrada, and there's no more going south on Loma Larga. Is that, going to be a priority pretty soon, or?
It's always a priority. The only thing so I could tell you that we focused a lot on Loma Larga. That's when we did the tank and the pump house and the extension of the water lines all the way to the academy. And we went as far south as we could with that budget. And then our focus was to come back over here because the priority was, Bosque, the ditches, not enough water. So our focus has been on Andrews. And then, but I could assure you that if I get additional funds and money to extend Loma Larga project and Andrews project, we paralleled both projects. We learned from the Loma Larga project that if we design that project to where if we get 15,000, we could put $15,000 of infrastructure in the ground. If we get 10,000, it's designed as shovel ready. So I guess to answer your question, it's all driven by budget. If we have the funds, we'd be happy to extend south. But right now, all the money's allocated to complete the Andrews as far as we can go to protect the Bosque was one priority. And that's why I'm really excited about getting the first ever hydrant near the Bosque this year. And then, of course, Angel, which we're going to be building a water tank. I didn't talk about that. We're going to be going out for bid. We're going to be building a 500,000 gallon water tank, and we have legislative funding to connect that water tank to Loma Larga, which is the way it's designed. So we have that supplemental water to support the system. But it is a priority of mine.
Counselor Murray?
I promise.
I think, Chief, so in the far northwest sector, there's a tank up by the power station, if I understand. Is there any plans to tie that into the Angel road system and attribute anything new up in the far northwest sector?
Yeah, Counselor, Mayor, yes, it's always been part of a plan. My recent site development plan before planning and zoning to do some cleaning up of that property, we included a couple of hydrants with a pump house similar to what we're doing at Loma Larga. Our goal is to put a pump house there, put a hydrant booster pump, and start the same infrastructure and eventually meet at Loma Larga. I've had conversations with SCAFCA to ask them about what it would take for me to either go over the Harvey Jones or what are their recommendations or suggestions, and they support drilling underneath the Harvey Jones and the Dulcelina Curtis. So that's kind of what we're planning. So if we can come out from that tank and go underneath and go north and south, that puts our line to try to meet up at Loma Larga with the connection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, since you're talking about Andrews Lane, you're also planning to go to the Bosque off of the La Entrada and additional roads. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So Andrews Lane, we want to continue as far as we can go with the funding. We're going to reevaluate after phase 2 once we get to La Entrada and do this infrastructure where we're at on budget. And then we would like to continue south to the Bosque at Meadowlark.
Okay. And you also plan to connect the rec center then to Andrews Lane as well? Or is that a separate idea?
That would be nice. That one we'd have to possibly bore underneath Carlos Road and make the connection. But yes, our goal is ultimately to run these lines wherever the Village of Krause has easement right away, utilizing a quasi-government easement right away, MRGCD, SCAFCA, MAFCA. Property owners now are, when they see the lines on Dixon as a prime example, I've had some property owners offer up easement so we could put a hydrant. So, you know, we're working with private property owners for just easement to put a hydrant in. Another example is on Dixon. We were able to get a easement, or we're in the process of getting easement to go from Dixon all the way to Price. And we put a hydrant on Price on private property to help those homeowners on Price. Because Price is a private property, private road. But we went through private property to put a hydrant to at least help those homeowners with fire suppression.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Counselor Woolman.
Thank you, Mayor. Two questions. Your plan to do a hydrant every 500 to 1,000 feet seems very, not a pipe dream, but it's close.
It's ambitious.
It's very ambitious. How many hydrants would you estimate that might take, and what would the timeline be for that?
Hydrants, you're talking, I'm just gonna guess and throw this number out there, but
I can't challenge you, whatever number you say is.
yeah, 2,500, I'm guessing. I don't know. It's hard because the village, it's what we're dealing with and what we're forced to deal with is very unique. We have a lot of private property, private roads that are making it's very difficult to try to design a fire water system because it's not just a straight line and you can't make the pipe just bend, you know, and then now we're getting into friction loss and velocities. We don't want to go there. We're trying to find a straight line path of least resistance to try to create a fire suppression system that is on a loop and not a dead end. Which goes back to the question of, am I trying to link all my water tanks? You bet, because that means if I'm on a dead end line, but I'm feeding from multiple directions, it's almost like a loop. The event of a pipe failure or someone busts it, or just the need for volume. As far as timeline, I'm going to be retired and it's not going to be my problem. It's going to take years unless we get some sort of federal grant to support a village-wide engineering system to not only look at fire suppression needed fire flows, but drinking water, daily consumption for residential use and businesses. If you're going to look at the bigger picture and you're looking at a full-blown domestic water system, it's going to take a lot.
Second question is dealing with the Bosque, which is governed by MRGCD. Do they have any responsibility in providing funding to try to protect the Bosque from fire?
That I would, you know, there's a lot of question on that. The MRGCD owns the property. You're correct. We have annexed back in maybe the late 70s. I can't remember. But the Village of Krause annexed the Bosque. Within that annexation, we are providing fire, police, you know, it's all outlined in the document. And we are financially responsible for any fire suppression costs, the Village of Krause. I guess this might be more of a question to the mayor and the attorney and Ron, but so that's why it's very critical for us to try to prevent, reduce the risk in that Bosque as a partnership with the Village of Krause and MRGCD. Because if we have a fire, then we have to rely on emergency management to file for a declaration immediately so we can get federal support.
Right.
Then there's a threshold, and who knows what that threshold can be. It could be 100,000, it could be 150,000, 400,000. So on that threshold, we have to consume 400,000 at our expense, the Village of Corrales. Once we exceed that, then the federal dollars will start kicking in.
Basically a match.
Yeah.
It's an upfront match. Yeah.
So I don't really know. I could tell you that our partnership with MRGCD has been good. We are always focused on trying to prevent and reduce the risk. That's our number one thing. Because if we could reduce the risk, especially in areas of congregation where we know we have a higher probability of, accidental fires, human cause type fires. But yeah,
But,
but we don't get no dollars from MRDCD to help offset. We do partnerships through grants. We did that recent, I'm sorry, my watch is making noise here, but we did the tow project, which was a combination project where it met the objective of cleaning up the toe of the levee before inspections. And two, to give me a little buffer for fire response along the levee road. And we're going to be pursuing more projects again this year. Yep.
thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mayor.
Councilor Mier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two questions, one of which you may not be able to answer, but the first one is more of a statement. Thank you for all you've done in the
welcome.
manner in which you're doing it, because it leads us to the question. You have the spread, and the spread's getting better. Could you say that when people are going to get their fire insurance and they come looking for it, that they're able to say they're going to be covered, so their fire insurance could be comparable throughout the Corrales area for response?
I'm trying to answer your question here.
And you're not in the
So-
insurance business, so I understand that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me give you an example and see if this answers your question. So as I'm creating and installing hydrants, so Dixon Road, as soon as the contractor installs that hydrant and it's operational, we get water out of it. I go over there with my phone and I get GPS coordinates and I go back to my desk and I have full access to what they call ISO mitigate. I'm able to go into that database and upload that hydrant that day that it's been installed, it's flow tested, and it's certifiable. I submit that to the database. And when that gets uploaded, we're anywhere between a month to 2 months. I haven't found out a timeline. It takes a little while for the insurance service office to recognize that hydrant here in Corrales. Currently, we have a homeowner that I told them, hey, call your insurance. We got water coming out. You got 2 hydrants on your property. I bet you're going to get a good rate. She called me up and said, Chief, they need a letter on letterhead from you saying that what you're saying is correct and accurate and the truth.
Uploading.
So
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed with the system because I work really hard to make sure that the hydrant gets installed, gets flow tested immediately, so the citizen can see an immediate insurance break. And so that's the latest case that I'm dealing with right now, and I'm waiting to see when it gets uploaded. We're going to provide her with a letter, and we're going to try to see, because what I wanted to come to you tonight with was numbers of saying, okay, we have invested this much money into this system, legislatively, grants, etc. This is how many homes we have protected with hydrants within the 500 or 1,000 feet. And this is how much return they're getting on their insurance break, whether it's 15%, 20%, or the insurance saying we're not going to cancel you now because you have a hydrant within a couple 100 feet or etc. Because we also have that going on in the village. We're hearing citizens saying that their insurance companies are coming down, they're evaluating their homes, they're looking at vegetation management or fire risk in the WUI with the Wildland Urban Interface. And I have heard that some insurance, unknown what companies, have been threatening cancellation. So all I can say is we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We appreciate the support we have from you, the governing body, the mayor, Ron, legislatures, citizens. This is good stuff happening. It's just not happening fast enough. So I hope that answers your question.
It did, but it also, of course, that one brings up some more, not questions for you, but just the fact that this has a nickel and dime operation, so that it's going to talk about money, as we spread it around becomes dollars. And so, the more you do it, the better it is for everybody. But, it's a little disappointing that, what you just said is not available for the entire, Corrales, region and area. And I only say that to say this is way off the subject matter, but I have a little cabin up in Brazos, and we had a little problem up there with the fire, and our people got a little bit afraid of the insurance people because we had a fire up there.
Yep.
It was at the fire station, and so once the fire station burned down, we couldn't till we get that fire station picked back up again.
Yeah.
Everyone was having a really hard time about it. But I think the moral of the story is that it really has an effect if we can help that and help the citizens with bringing down the
So-
dollars.
So to expand on your question real quick, I don't know if I have a time limit
Go
here,
ahead.
Mayor.
Take
But-
every time you eat.
So I just want to clarify something. Everything that we're doing in the Village of Cross, even if you're not 500 feet or 1,000 feet away from a fire hydrant, it's making an overall improvement for the village. It's up to the insurance agent or the company if they want to look at the whole picture and say, okay, well, you have this many hydrants. Your fire department is progressive enough to install 50 hydrants in the last 2 years. They look at my stations, they look at my response. Then it's up to the underwriter to say, you know what, we're going to give you the ISO 4 rating and maybe not the 8 rating, right? So we can't say that what we're doing is not affecting the whole village. It is. It's making improvements on all the fire suppression. In areas that don't have fire hydrants, if I get a hydrant even just a little bit closer, that's less that I have to travel with my tanker truck to go fill it up. So years ago, and I think the mayor might know this, when I first came before the council saying, we have an idea and we want to put these water tanks in, this is how it's going to affect our tanker shuttling. We had an old map with circles, and these circles were water tanks. And then we had bigger circles where the circles said, this is my travel distance for a tanker truck with 2,000 gallons of water. And this is how much gallons per minute I can flow out of a tanker truck going 35 miles an hour, or in some areas 15. But there's a coefficient and a formula to calculate this. And we did this on a map, and we came before the council saying, we need your support. Now, all these circles are hydrants, and it's affecting everybody. I hope that clarifies that.
That helps us, and I think.
Because I don't want any citizen or anybody to think that our investment, whether it's Andrews, Loma Larga, Academy, Bosque, we're not picking and choosing. We're looking at the most probability and the highest potential of a threat. And our Bosque is a threat. And you recently seen the ones down in Valencia. It can happen here. And so we're trying to mobilize, move the tools, get the water, pre-plan. Those of you that go down in the Bosque, you've seen some of my tanks. They're staged out in the Bosque with water in them because the clear ditch years ago, I could put a floating pump and get water out. I can't anymore. It's dry. And in areas to get to the river, well, it's going dry. But in some areas to get to the river, you're talking 1,000 feet through real thick, dense brush. You can't get a pump through there. So
Thank
I
you.
hope I answered your questions.
You did. Thank you.
Okay.
Just
Councilor Walden?
one quick question. Do you know how many hydrants we have now?
With these 6, I think we're close to 60. I didn't bring that number with me.
60, and we want to get to 2,500? So I'm just curious.
Like I said in the beginning, the only limitation to this is budget. I will do whatever if you can show me the money.
It's not a sprint,
Very-
it's a marathon.
Yes.
And the focus is on the Bosque. How much water can you deliver to a fire if you have to use a swimming pool, basically? A tanker truck and.
Oh, tanker truck? So, in tanker shuttling, so in areas outside the area of a fire hydrant, we have portable ponds that hold, 2,100 gallons of water. So my tanker trucks are 2,000 gallon. So the tanker truck comes in, sets up this portable swimming pool, dumps its water, and their whole job is to go to the nearest fill station, which would be a hydrant or a tank or whatever. Right. As far as flow, depends on, you know, we can flow 1,000 gallons a minute out of a fire truck. We can flow up to 1,500 gallons a minute out of a fire
What would
truck.
you like to be able to put on a fire when it first starts?
So we try to calculate 1,000 gallons a minute out of each hydrant. That's our optimum.
So when we have a hydrant down at Dixon,
Mhm.
it's fully functional, ready to go, how much water will you be able to deliver in a minute?
1,000 gallons a minute
All right.
or
And
more.
That's the only defense we have right now.
Yes.
For a fire in the Bosque.
Yeah.
I mean, well, other than the modern day bucket brigade. But that's why this has been a big focus, is to get fire hydrants down there and to get the water on site. Jason Kasuga said if we have a fire down there like they had in Belen a couple of years ago, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Anyway, he said the Bosque will never recover. That's his opinion. It would be tough. It would be tough.
Yep.
Given the situation with climate change right now. So that's why we're so focused, and that's why we spend a ton of money on it.
Mhm.
And I think we're going to end up spending what, another $1 million to just get the pipe down Angel Road?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's, that one's a big project.
Yeah.
And that one's a long-term project that, you know, 500,000 gallon water tank.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot now, but in 10 years, it may not be enough. But the line coming down is going to be, you know, 12-inch. You know, so it has increased capacity for future growth. So that's a big deal. We're excited about that. Yeah.
How much water, do you remember offhand how much water you used on the territorial house when it caught?
It was over 100,000 gallons.
Jeez.
And it burned all day long, didn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you took water, I mean, you were taking water from every place.
We were recycling
Using
water.
Yeah.
We were pumping water and then it was pooling in the parking lot. And then we put our pumps in the pool, pumped it back into the pumper truck and then back on the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why. Go ahead, Stuart.
Thank you, Mayor. So how much time does it take to fill the tanks? If you draw them down, how long does it take to refill?
So my fire suppression tanks, like Main Station and Loma Larga and the rec center.
Yeah.
So it's a good question, Mayor Council. So most of my wells are, you know, like commercial residential wells. So for example, the Main Station, when it was built, they drilled a 400, little over 400 feet deep. It's a 3-phase motor. It produces about 50 gallons a minute. So if my tank, 120,000 gallons, is empty, it takes over 24 hours ish. I'm trying to do the math in my head as I'm looking at you, but the recovery is very slow. Loma Larga, same thing. It's like, I think a 4-inch casing well, that one produces pretty close to 50 gallons a minute. That's 84,000 or 82,000 gallons. The rec center is a smaller tank that was given to us by Intel. And it was an older DI tank that we repurposed. And when we drilled that well, it was 3-phase. We have 3-phase power there. I met with we came up with the specification when we went out for bid. And I wanted a 12-inch casing. I wanted big horsepower. I wanted fast recovery. That well produces 400 gallons a minute. So even though it's a smaller volume tank, we have a rapid recovery. That was a good well. We had to put some thought into it, discuss what the capacities were, how deep we have to go so we have the recovery. And so that's kind of like a model well that any sort of future wells I would like to drill equivalent to that if power is available. That's a 3-phase. When we only have a single-phase system, it's a little different engineering and we can't get as much water out.
How about Angel Road when you're thinking about that one?
Angel Road is a very deep well because we're at 2,000 or we're at 250 feet above like Loma Larga elevation. We're like 5,250 feet. Loma Larga is like at 5,015 feet. So we're about anywhere between 500 to 600 feet deep on a well. And it's going to be a lower flow type well because it's a single phase system. And to pump that water that high, our capacity is going to be lower as far as gallons per minute.
You can't get three-phase up there. Is that the issue?
That's the issue.
Okay.
It's it's on the end of a residential area, even though we're border of Rio Rancho, there's not available three-phase in that area.
So the two tanks that are lower recovery or slower recovery, is there any thought about, can we get permission from the state engineer to improve those wells and put a bigger casing in, more, better flow rate?
Yes, so you're asking some key questions here that I've already kind of thought about. So now that the main station is hooked up to the sewer, opens up my options for possibly drilling a supplemental well closer to the tank of higher volume. Because before that tank is within 30 feet of my septic tank or my leach field, which was already out of the question when we first talked about it. So there is those options and I'm trying to pursue those, but my focus has been trying to get the infrastructure further out like the Bosque. When my main station, I have a 120,000 gallon tank, it's working, the pumps are working, the well's working. If the well was to break tomorrow, I may entertain that idea, the next well I put back in to see if I can't upgrade it. What would it take? New wiring, new pumps, maybe dual pumps. I could put pumps in series, right? I don't know if that would increase my volume. It might increase my pressure. But anyways, those are thoughts that we have had that we are trying to plan for, but we're not ready to make that transition yet. Yeah. Loma Larga, it's only a single phase system. I think the best option for Loma Larga would be that we paid P&M to run three phase. And at the time when I pursued it, the nearest three phase was La Entrada. So it'd be La Entrada to run three phase power to the water tank. And at the time it was, I want to say it was like $75,000 just to do that. That was when we built the tank. So now you probably double it. I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. Anyone else? Anthony, thank
Okay.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Yep.
One of the things that Anthony didn't mention in all this discussion is access. I mean, access can be difficult and requires some planning. As he said, he wants straight line, pipes, and sometimes it's not available because the way the village has grown and the way some of the older areas have developed. And so access can be difficult. So it's all a big puzzle. Yeah. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So now let's move on to the administrator's report. This
Thank you,
should be
Mayor.
Exciting.
First up is Tanya talking about some health issues.
Oh, by the way, Tanya is now a grandmother.
Thank you. I am a wonderful little boy named Luca, who was born on Sunday evening. Okay, thank you, Mayor, for that. Thank you, Council Mayor and Administrator Curry. Let's start off with some COVID numbers. So COVID in New Mexico, still kind of low, which is good, but school is going to be starting back. So we know anytime we get lots of people together who haven't seen each other in any recent time, we're not going to just get COVID. I remember when my kids were little, the first month of the first couple of weeks of August, everyone was sick. So we'll probably see a little uptick. For New Mexico, for the week ending 7/10, positivity was at 5.9%. Hospitalizations and all were still really, really low. But for the United States, test positivity is now at 4.8%, which is up from 3.7. Emergency room visits is holding steady at 0.5% of all emergency room visits currently are for COVID. It looks like that trend is starting to climb though, based on the graphing. Severity indicators, meaning hospitalizations, went up from 4% to 8%. So, sorry, 0.4% to 0.8% of hospitalizations, and deaths is holding steady at 0.03% of all deaths are in the United States right now are from COVID. New Mexico is doing good with measles. We've had no new cases in New Mexico since June 22nd. Last time I said that, we ended up with the outbreak in the jails. So I'm just going to knock on some wood. In the United States, though, as of July 15th, we're up to 1,309 cases, 40 states. now have had measles in them. Of those, 29% is children under the age of 5. 37% of cases is in children 5 to 19. 20 plus is 34% of cases, and there was 1% of cases that they did not know the age. Vaccinated people, unvaccinated people were 92% of all the measles cases, with 4% was 1 dose of MMR and 2% had two full doses of MMR. Hospitalizations for measles this year has been 13% of all cases, with children under the age of 5 resulting in 21% of those cases. They're not doing any studies on long-term. They're not doing anything on the long-term. If we've had any vision problems, any long-term health problems, that is not coming out yet on these measles cases. And the next highest group will be 20 plus. Pertussis, if you watch the news lately, whooping cough is making a big comeback, not just in the United States, but in New Mexico. Usually we have 27 diagnosed cases per year in the state of New Mexico. So far this year, we've had 67. Whooping cough really affects young children and older persons, just like all diseases. And out of those 67 cases, 4 of those were babies under the age of 1 who had to be hospitalized. Remember, babies cannot get a whooping cough pertussis DPT vaccine until they're 2, and then they get 3 in a row, and then we get our pertussis or our tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis every 10 years. They cannot get it till they're 2. So it's our job to protect those children. My son was very clear, and so is his wife. You don't get your booster vaccines, you don't get to see the baby. So we all went out and got ours. Any questions? And thank you.
Council Murray.
Thank you. So I was asking the chief earlier before the meeting, at the south end of the village where we have the Riverside Drain, what I would call a clear ditch that behind Uva Road goes around to Applewood. Are those waters stagnant? And the reason I'm bringing it up is if it's a breeding ground for mosquitoes, do we need to have vector control? Take a look at that and see if they would cover that area, because I just got to thinking, I see people over there with fishing rods, but they must be doing something, catching something.
Well,
but
they're in the village already, because he was here last.
They are. I don't know, because that is MRGCD water. We'd have to talk to them. I don't know if they could I don't know if they're moving, but here's one of the things, the Egypti mosquito that is the really, really bad one. It will actually breed in moving water. It's a nasty mosquito, by the way. It really, really is. So we could definitely reach out to MRGCD and find out what that water is, because I can't just go throw those pods in that water because it's not ours, but we should reach out to MRGCD and find out.
I would think the interior drain would also be a candidate as well, since it feeds that into that whole.
And I know they do some spraying back there in the interior drain, and I know some residents back there who want it and some who don't because they have bees and all of that. At least that part I know has fish that would help. And we can't just throw the fish that you can throw into your pond and your water buckets into the drain either, because I'm assuming they're going to be an invasive species and we're not supposed to do that. But no, it's definitely worth a question, because we want to try to keep the mosquitoes at bay.
Okay.
I mean, I know they're a food source for animals, but we want to keep us healthy.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, Tanya, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tanya. Couple other things. I would just draw your attention to page 33 in the reports from the department heads. And for those of you who don't have it in front of you, you can find it on the website, but it's page 33 is from the police report. And there's been lots of talk about the police department this year, and wanted to note on page 33 that in the month of June, there were 253 citations issued by the police department, 110 of which were for speeding in the village. So our folks are definitely keeping an eye on things, just keeping the court busy. The other thing is that we've gotten lots of calls about the chips that are the wood clippings that are available over on Loma Larga. And they are available free to the public if the sign is up that says free to the public. If it says private property, private property. So they are being used by the village in one time or another, but if we do have extra ones, and then people are free to take them if the sign says that. I wanted to spend a moment. Since our last meeting, there was a meeting of a public meeting regarding the Corrales interior drain. And I wanted to spend just a moment of time kind of going through the timeline and some of the events that occurred leading up to where we're at right now. So the committee was formed by resolution 2023 that was approved on the 18th day of August in 2020. Mayor Roque was mayor, and the village had been approached by Doug Finley to take a look at this because it had been something that he had been looking at for a long time as a longtime resident of the village. So there was some discussion, and so the resolution 2023 was passed on the 18th day of August in 2020. And along with that, there were members of the committee that were assigned to this. Doug Finley was, of course, on it. John Perea was on it. Sarah Gerhart was on it. Rick Toller was on it. Jeff Radford was on it. The motion to approve was 6-0. Kevin Lucero made the motion to approve it, and Mayor Pro Tem David Dornberg seconded it, 6-0. So on the council at that time was Councilor Woolman, Councilor Lucero, Councilor Murray, Councilor Knight, Councilor Burkett, and Councilor Dornberg. So the committee commenced after that meeting. And one of the things that in the resolution that was stated is that now therefore be it resolved that the governing body of the village of Corrales, New Mexico hereby establishes an ad hoc committee to study and make recommendations for the Corrales interior drain to identify and help to implement ways in which the interior drain and its right-of-way may be improved for safe, enjoyable, and essential public use while maintaining tranquility for adjacent residents. So the work was begun. And then the committee came before the village council in May of 2021, and you can go back and look on the village website for that meeting. They presented the same plan. They presented a plan to the council, and then they presented the same plan to Senator Brenda McKenna in January of 22, January 25th of 2022 to be precise, on a Zoom meeting. And there were several people on that Zoom meeting that can also provide to you, but at the end of that meeting, she told them that as a senator, one of the first things that was her second year as a state senator, she would fund their efforts to the tune of $150,000. So Senator McKenna made that decision to do that on her own. It was not a request that was made from the village. So they were off and running, they thought. So the next thing that came about was that it turns out that the interior drain's original owner is the Department of Interior. And it's being managed by the Conservancy District. So we worked with the Conservancy District, and we worked for over a year working with them and negotiating so that we could come up with a JPA, Joint Powers Agreement. And during the course of that negotiation, it became very apparent that we talked about things that there were liabilities for out there. And one of the things that the Conservancy District made clear to us that they didn't want the word trails to be used at any time during that. And the reason why is because their insurance and their maintenance is directed for use of the ditches. It's not for recreation. Also, the right-of-ways that the trails transverse throughout the district also have come in contact with private property. So you have mixed right of ways where some of them are private, some of them are public that goes to the Conservancy District. So as we negotiated this agreement, and it took well over a year, it took a lot of work by our attorney, Randy Audio, and his staff. And it finally had to be approved, of course, by the Department of Interior. And what it allowed the village to do was have to go back to the Conservancy District on a limited basis to get approval to do things on. Once the Interior Department approved it, we had to send it to the Department of Finance Administration for the Secretary to approve the JPA, which in most cases he has to approve that because of the situation. There might be money or value exchanged between the entities. So that was approved by the Secretary in August 23rd of 23. Then in May of 24, resolution 22, I'm sorry, in May of 22, resolution 2229 extending the ad hoc committee to explore the possibilities of an interior drain was passed by this council on the 10th day of May of 2022. And it extended the Interior Drain Committee to May of 2024. And the people appointed to that committee were Douglas Fendley was reappointed. Lou Murphy was appointed to the Corrales Interior Drain. Jeff Radford was reappointed, and Sarah Gerhart was reappointed to the Interior Drain. And that was on May of 2022. Then the JPA was passed in 23. The committee was extended till May of 2024 when it dissolved. And so at that point, the committee had, prior to the time that it dissolved, the Amy Bell was contracted in November 2023 to start work using the $150,000 that was given to them to develop a plan. So she developed a plan, and it has come before the council, and it is a couple of times, and it's likely to come back to the administration sometime in the future. But during the course of that planning for that, there was a public outreach program that was set up and managed and operated by Tanya Latin, working with Amy Bell. There were public meetings. There was a multimodal tour that people were invited to tour and take advantage of on October 6th of 2024. And we anticipate there were over 80 residents that participated in that multimodal tour. There was also a meeting on November 6th for project teams to discuss this. And there was also a meeting at the school. So we had comments during this that this was perhaps a model of public participation and outreach on how we do things. And there was a lot of meetings. And so I wanted to bring this all to the attention of the folks. Amy Bell has about $1,000 left on that $150,000 contract. So this has been a process of a long time with multiple public input, 2 resolutions passed by this council. Again, multi-public input, either through the resolutions, through the work that was been presented to this council by Amy Bell and others. Recent public meeting was held, and some of you witnessed that, saw it. I believe it's still on YouTube that you can watch. It was a very heated meeting. It was a very disappointing meeting in many ways to me. After you hear the history of how this was gone about and how the history was developed with public input. We even had one of the members that was on the original committee say, gosh, maybe we should have another meeting because we form another committee. He was on the first committee. So I find it interesting when you look back at history and you look at the work that this council did looking at this, and you look at the work that the people and on the staff of the village worked on, and you look at the public input that was given on it. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention, to the village's attention, because of the seemingly controversy that there wasn't public outreach or there wasn't public input. 2 resolutions passed, money was given to the committee and asked for by the committee, not by the administration, to fund this. Senator McKenna, the capital outlay project that she gave for $150,000 on this was one of her first things that she did as a freshman senator. It was in her 2nd year. And she was so impressed by the plan that was laid out by the first committee that she donated $150,000 out of her pot on capital projects. So a lot of history here, a lot of good documentation on it. And there may be 1 or 2 things that I left out, but we're glad to discuss it anytime anybody wants to. So thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So Ron, what is the responsibility of the village in terms of maintenance of the interior drain with the agreement with MRGC?
Right.
Are we responsible for maintaining it now?
We have some responsibility in that right now if we go to use it as a drain, then we'll have to have some conversations with them about whether we put a pipe in there or not. But right now we have contact with them. They've been waiting for, what the next action is going to be, but right now it's minimal
Well,
as to what we're going to
I'm
do.
just curious about, people have complained about, they call it the trash ditch, but are we responsible for keeping it clean and vegetation mowed down and so forth? I'm just curious, or is that MRGCD?
Counselor, that's something that we have not really got into with them a lot because we were banking on how this committee was going to turn out and what that would develop. And so that is stalled at this point.
Okay.
But we have, one of the things that we have, and the chief mentioned it earlier and other people have mentioned it earlier, through the efforts of working on the JPA, through the efforts of working with this committee, and through the efforts that we worked on with the SIFON, we have a wonderful relationship with the Conservative District and their leadership. And a lot of that has to do with also with some of the efforts that you folks have made by yourselves as counselor reaching out to them. But we have a really good working relationship with them. And it's part of it is because of this work on this committee.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that even regardless of where this plan goes or ends up, if we were to try to maintain and cut the vegetation down and kind of clean it up, I mean, I'm not worried so much where the plan's going. I just would like to see, maybe we need to think about maybe just cleaning it up for aesthetic purposes and maybe for the mosquito control and vector control.
Councilor Knight.
Thank you.
I know a lot of people have a lot of ideas about the interior drain, and they worked really hard, obviously, to get people to give their thoughts about what they would like. But I went to that meeting like a week and a half ago that was in here, and like 90% of the people that were there really wanted just to, like Stuart said, just kind of clean it up, widen it in certain areas where it needs to be widened. I rode down there with my bike the very next day, and I thought, this reminds me just of an old country road. And to see those ballards that I thought were ugly, and to see the asphalt that's there only in a certain area on the west side of the interior drain, if that could be taken up, I think there's smaller things we could do to make it look good. I know there's probably invasive trees coming out of the drain, but they give shade. So I think it was a beautiful project for a different area, but I think the interior drain needs to keep some of its just ruralness. And just, again, people talked a lot about by the school that it was maybe, hopefully APS will make sure that the kids being dropped off are staying within the APS area. But a lot of people talked about people are speeding back there because they're dropping their kids off and then going to work really quick. So if that could be maybe addressed a little bit more. But again, from the pictures that Amy, beautiful pictures, but I don't think it's for the interior drain. I think it's just too,
Manicure.
it's too manicured and too, color coded, and again, those Ballard things we don't need those. We need widening in some of those areas again, and just get rid of that asphalt, slow down, put some signs up, but I enjoyed my ride on that interior drain ditch, so.
Good. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. So Senator McKenna provided 150,000 for this. So what you're saying, and was all that given to Amy Bell, $150,000 contract to do this, and she has $1,000 left?
Pretty much.
No, no.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Tanya, you.
Sorry.
89,000, then some change was given to Amy Bell. The rest was for WH Pacific for the survey
Yeah, survey, that's,
and the
That's
the
correct.
pre-work that needed to be done before she was able to go to work.
I stand corrected.
Thank you.
So 2 engineers, 1 architect, 1 engineer.
Okay, so you're finished. Thank you. Very good. So now we move on to Corleone's Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or a concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. So who do you have first, Melanie?
Okay. Up first, we're going to go to Zoom. We have Ricardo Blanco. Ricardo, if you can unmute yourself, state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes. Ricardo, are you there?
Do you have him?
Yeah, he's on. I'm just not sure if he's listening. Okay, Ricardo, we'll come back to you if you can hear us, and we're going to move on to people here in the council chambers. So we'll go to Ken Martinez next. Ken, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Ken Martinez. I live at 401 Chimaha Road. Today, I'm here as immediate past president of the Corrales Historical Society and a current member of the CHS board. As you know, we are in crisis right now as we confront the significant deterioration of the interior walls of the old church that was discovered as replastering work began. We knew that there was likely some damage to the original adobe walls that are 157 years old, but we did not anticipate the extent of the adobe deterioration. The pictures on our website tell a story. Unfortunately, the old church is an unsafe and uninhabitable structure right now, and will continue to be if the adobe walls are not reinforced before replastering. While the Corrales Historical Society is doing its part by contributing a significant amount of money to the effort and launching a large scale emergency fundraising campaign in partnership with the village, the old church is in desperate need of your financial assistance. I don't need to remind you that the village-owned old church is the major icon of the village of Corrales, as well as the center of many activities and events. But it also graces the village seal, and as you all know, the old church is Corrales. With your assistance, the village and the Corrales Historical Society can restore the old church interior this summer to the safe sanctuary that it has always been for more than a century and a half. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, up next is Bob Eichhorst. If you'll come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Bob Eichhorst, live in Corrales. I attended several of the meetings of the interior drain. I thank Mel for being there the other night. The fact that we listened to 15 minutes of Ron trying to convince us, oh, we have to approve this. No, we don't. No, I'm talking, sir. We spent money on it. Big, hairy deal. The consensus of the audience was leave the damn thing alone. It's a drainage ditch. If we ever have a flood, God forbid, like Ruidoso, like the one that flooded back in 76 when it washed out the bridge in Rio Rancho, flooded Corrales, there is not a single structure in this village that will take water out of the village except for that interior drain. Our ditches aren't going to, they're higher than the damn property. So why are we considering doing any of this? To take the liability off of the MRGCD? No. If it's theirs, they have the liability. It's like everybody wants to take over the highway. Why would we take over the liability of a highway that's illegal? Let the damn state maintain the liability on an illegal highway. Won't do any good for the village to take it over because you can't afford to pay if we ever get a big lawsuit. Leave it alone. Clean it up if you want to clean it up. But we didn't move here to have everything paved and perfect. This damn curb and gutter stuff belongs in Albuquerque. We don't need curb and gutter here in Corrales. That's an insult to us. The curb and gutter on Upper Meadowlark, have you watched any of the FedEx or the UPS trucks deliver packages on that road? They have to drive up on the pavement on your bicycle path because you can't stop in the road anymore. And they get deliveries every single day. Give them time because that pavement isn't strong enough to handle motorized vehicle. They're all going up on the bank, and give it time, they'll destroy it. This village isn't meant to be improved like everybody wants to improve it. Leave us alone. You advertise in the paper to hire another planning and zoning cop. Let's go through and clean up the P&Z mistakes before we hire another P&Z cop. We still are operating like a HOA. You guys are telling us how to live on our own property. It's not your property, it's our property. You guys have forgotten. You don't own any of that. So consider us next time. Thank you.
Okay, up next is Fred Hashimoto. Fred, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Fred Hashimoto. I live at 485 East La Entrada. At this time, a $106 million wastewater system is totally unjustified, and money should not be spent for that now unless data shows otherwise. 3 super high-use village public sites had bacterial contamination up to 6 years ago. Since then, between the 3, over 200 tests have been done and not shown any contamination. Last week, the mayor's message stated, quote, "One thing that is quite apparent is that the village does not have much data collected or documentation on what we have in terms of water resources. A secure, confidential water testing program is being considered as a first step to get the data we need and to help develop a history of the village, not just anecdotal stories." Thank you. That's really cool. Hurrah. A village-wide domestic water study should be done testing for microbes and chemistries. Concomitant data should include location, well depth, distance to septic system, casing material, and septic system age. This data is important for health reasons and also for making informed decisions. I'd like to answer the question, does Corrales need a $106 million wastewater system? Another aspect of the mayor's message also caught my eye, the availability of a low-interest $20 million loan. I briefly thought, hey, that's a lot of money. How will we pay back? Even if the interest rate is very low, 0.5%, Interest payments begin at $100,000 a year, and principal payment is $1 million a year for 20 years. Stantec Engineering calculated that change charges for hooked-up residents could cover some of this. They assumed a 100% hookup rate, resulting in annual revenue of $806,400. However, domestic hookup rates have been historically minuscule here. Approximately 278 users would have to hook up to even cover the interest, and 2,800 hookups will be needed to cover the principal. Do you think that can happen? If only a few residents hook up, why need an expensive village-wide system? Doing a comprehensive village-wide testing study is mandatory, and considering dollars and cents and ethical issues should be done before spending a cent more on a projected very expensive village-wide sewer system. Thank you very much.
Next is Bill Perkins. Bill, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Melanie. Mayor and Administrator and Councilors. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak. My name is Bill Perkins. I live at 5768 Corrales Road. I think it was on Saturday, July 5th. I drove with a friend to the interior drain, hoping to walk and learn about this unusual feature in anticipation of the upcoming informational meeting. I need to confess that I parked on the side of the road and adjacent to a fence adjoining private property. I now see that some of my Corrales neighbors would see my actions, parking in that fashion, as unwelcome intrusions. I tried to walk quietly and respectfully. We encountered few cars, but we did meet with friends who were on a bike ride. The encounter of friends along the trail is certainly one of life's simple pleasures. There was one thing, though, that seemed strange to me, out of place. Much of the walk north from our parked car featured the sound of rock and roll music, likely coming from one of the drinking establishments along Corrales Road. It seemed incongruous to have the walk through the open space with the interspersed homes along both sides of this unusual man-made linear wetland with plants and wildlife, all to the sound of rock music. It was not so much that it was loud, it was mostly that the sounds did not seem to belong here. Along this pastoral valley setting, next to our majestic desert river under a New Mexico sky. On our walk back to the car, the rock music was done. I was more aware of the sound of the birds, of the neighbors, and yet, yes, also to the sounds of some distant vehicles. I do not doubt that there is a place for music at our village's drinking establishments, but I also believe it is reasonable to expect drinking establishments to manage the sound of the music, yes, for the enjoyment of the patrons, but not at the expense of the tranquility of the neighbors, both near and far. Thank you.
Okay, next is Salome Ward. Salome, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. Salome Ward, East Meadowlark Lane. Administration, counselors, thank you very much. I don't have anything as eloquent to say as Mr. Eichhorst or as Mr. Perkins over here, but I did just want to add my 2 cents to the interior drain topic because I filled out the questionnaires. Also the one that was after the plan, there was another little question you could answer. I attended the online, I was by Zoom for the meetings. I also came to the one that was a week and a half ago, which I have to say gets the award for being the most animated and spirited meeting that I've ever been to. So I loved it. But so there seems to be, I appreciate so much all the effort, all the research, everything that went into it. But somewhere along the way, it seems that something something is lost or somehow the interpretation of the information, was lost. So I agree. And so many people, pretty much everybody, the word manicured came up over and over and over again. It looked too manicured. We don't want that. And I know I shouldn't say this, but I can't help myself because I like alliteration and things like that. But the bollards are bollocks. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I love your analogy of it looking like a country road because that's the way I've always felt about it. And I live one house in from it. It's my daily. It's my happy place. So I just wanted to say that. Tying into that, I'm at the dirty end of the ditch where it's the wet, it's marshy. So I am in mosquito country. But I just want to say, I just want to be cautionary or let people know that what's being sprayed is damaging to pollinators, not just bees, also to butterflies in their larval stage and things like that. And I just wanted to recount an unpleasant experience I had last Friday night at around 9 o'clock. I left my home. I was driving towards Corrales Road. I could see a vehicle with, the lights blinking coming in my direction. The hazards were on. So I thought, oh no, maybe there's a dog in the road or something. So I slowed down. And as we approach each other, I realized it's a pickup truck. And right as they were passing me, my windows were down because my air conditioner is broken. It sprayed. So it was the mosquito sprayer and it totally sprayed me in the face. So I was upset about that. It was earlier than I anticipated. I did call the Sandoval County Vector Control. He assured me it's not damaging to me unless I'm allergic to chrysanthemums, which I'm not. He even told me they mix it with an orange scent. So maybe he did not say it, but it kind of sounded like he was telling me, be thankful you were spritzed with orange essence. But so he was very kind. But anyway, I just want to say, just be on the lookout for that. And I just think residents should be aware of, what's being sprayed and when it's being sprayed. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, we'll try Ricardo Blanco one more time. Ricardo, are you online? And can you hear us? If you can hear us, please unmute. You'll have your 3 minutes.
While we're waiting for him, Thursday at San Felipe Casino is an MRGCD meeting, 9 o'clock in the morning till 12. They obviously don't want us to be there. That's why I put it at 9 o'clock on Thursday. But it's an MRGCD meeting at the San Felipe Casino, 9 to 12. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, I guess we can't reach Ricardo, so that's,
Thought he came on.
well, he's on there.
There
He
you go.
just,
Can you make some?
Can you tell him to turn it?
Ricardo, you're muted. Can you unmute?
Mary, okay.
You can't unmute? Okay, he did send an email, I believe, tonight to council members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties, Ricardo. Okay. All right. That's everybody.
Oh, okay. All right, now we'll move on to Councilors Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion or debate, to inform the governing body of an issue or a concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. A council member may respond to an issue or a concern that was brought up by a resident in the preceding Corralinos Forum, but to remain in compliance with the Open Meeting Act, the subject will not be up for debate or discussion. Who would like to start? Councilor Knight?
The Rail Runner did not have our monthly meeting again. They postponed it till August.
Okay. Councilor Murray?
Thank you. So the Water Resource Board met July 16th. And out of that, there were 2 presentations, one by the Water Authority in Bernalillo County. And then we also had let me see if I can even read my own notes here. I would call it it's a Land Water Conservancy Fund. And anyway, they both sent links to, which I have forwarded to council and administration. But the Water Authority does have a good webpage for conservation of water. I thought might be of use to the village works. Along the same lines, when we were talking about the interior drain, Do we have a MOU with the MRGCD about maintaining weeds on the laterals, the irrigation ditches?
No,
No. Okay, so
the laterals are usually maintained by the people who have, is this what you're talking about? The laterals that go to the individual properties?
no, the interior, well, like the Corrales lateral that runs parallel to Corrales Road, maintaining the weeds that may accumulate in the goat heads and so forth. One of my neighbors was saying that the goat heads were getting really bad up on top of the ditch bank.
They do maintain the ditch banks, yes. And they usually will, Yasmin has them spray something on there, and I asked a question about it one time. I said, so you're spraying where the ditch is running? She says, we're not going to spray anything that's going to hurt anything. And I'm thinking, how do you spray anything? It doesn't hurt anything. You want to try to get rid of goat heads. Anyway, they do maintain those.
Okay.
But this has been several years ago that I talked to her.
Well, and I contacted Jason Kasuga, and he basically was saying the same thing, that they do blade the ditches, you know, to
Yeah.
get rid of, but
And they mow.
yeah, my neighbor was complaining that the goat heads were really taking it over from Uva Road over to Applewood and so forth.
Goat heads are bad on Corrales Road.
Yeah. So anyway, I just was curious about that. The other thing I wanted to talk briefly about is I had submitted, along with Councilor Alsobrook, a resolution covering about lot coverage that was talked about in the comprehensive plan. And I was just wondering, are we going to see that soon on the agenda?
Wasn't Lori talking about that?
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
So we did send it over to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they did discuss it at their last meeting in July. But they did say they were uncomfortable voting on something that was not approved by the entire council to come to them. So on the August 12th council meeting, we'll have some sort of an action item on the agenda for you to send that as a group to the council.
Well,
Or I'm sorry, to P and Z.
Okay, plan and zoning doesn't have to vote. I mean, they can send a recommendation, basically. That's all. They don't have to approve or language or anything, but they can send a recommendation to council with their, you know, their thoughts and so forth. That's, you know, that's their purview.
Yeah, they were more comfortable if they knew everybody on the council supported the proposed ordinance. So we'll have the proposed ordinance in the packet for August 12th
Well,
with some sort of action item to send it.
It seems like if the council approved the comprehensive plan, it would be kind of a vote of confidence, wouldn't you think?
It's a plan.
Yes.
Yes. What this is a resolution, and they don't feel like their position is to make those decisions.
Well, anyway, I would like to see something on the agenda towards that, you know, so we can either do something or not.
We will. It's going to be back here on
Yeah.
August 12th. and
So
we'll have something.
it'll be on your agenda, August 12th. Planning and Zoning will hear it at their August meeting, and then it'll come back for a publish and post after that.
Okay, very good. And that's basically it.
Okay. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to take note that my constituents gave me a call and we had two really good meetings in the neighborhood, in the streets, specifically around the S curves. If everybody's familiar with the really north end as you get near the tree farm, pretty tight. What came of that is, of course, some really good conversation. And this Sunday, we had another meeting at a household there. So we got together a couple of times. The purpose of it, of course, was the speeding and the fact that the S curve in and of itself is a little dangerous, and we're taking some looks at it. But I really want to tell you that besides having some people from the MRGCDC that also give us a call and we're talking with us, I really wanted to take super note to tell Steve, thanks very much I gave him a call and asked him for some support and some names and so forth, and he came through. Mostly about the fact that we have those signs that I'm sure you're all familiar with, the black and yellow signs that tell you to go this way, that way. There was 3 of them out there. We could only see one because it rained and everything grew so high and so tall you couldn't even see the signs anymore. So talked to Steve, and we're getting together, and I guess they're going to be coming this week. The State Highway Department's going to come down and start cutting there. And I don't know how far out they're going to go, but we know they're going to be cutting right around in there. And so it's good because we need to take care of that vegetation. But I think you can assume that we're going to be coming to visit both of you on maybe some future negotiations with regards to the State Highway Department, doing this on a regular basis so that Steve doesn't have to call every single time. I'm sure they're going to do that and be comfortable with it. it. But if we could make some kind of regular, they can come and do it on a regular basis because of the fact that we're getting the rain that we really need, but it pays off and it's getting really tall. And the other part of it is, of course, those S curves we have to take a real close look at, and we're going to be doing that again, working with Ricky Sedana over there at Department of DOT, seeing what it is that if we can get those lined up with regards to the speed. We have a 35 and then it goes to 30, then it goes to 25, then it goes to 30, all around those S curves. Most of the time you really can't see them. So we'll be coming and making some motions, Rod, but I want to congratulate your staff and our people, the Corrales people, and then of course my constituents for bringing this together. So we'll be seeing a lot of them, and they may come soon and give you some feelings about how they feel about what's going on in their neck of the woods.
So we do have, let me just say it. We do have meetings set up with DOT. They lapsed because the person we were meeting with left. Jill?
Yes.
For several months, but Margaret Haynes came in the other day and she's going to start a routine. How often did she say? Well, at least once a quarter? or
We
something?
used to have quarterly meetings, and we're trying to get those back on the agenda. We now have the name of the person who has replaced the former
Yeah.
director of District 3. So we're hoping to get those back on the schedule here soon.
So those were being done
Okay, good.
up until a few months ago. Yes.
Okay, just when he talked about vegetation, I love the rain and it's making the vegetation in the medians on Meadowlark really start to sprout up. And I'm thinking that maybe they need to be addressed a little bit soon. Because they're
Okay.
getting kind of out, they're spreading out, so they're hitting cars.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that'll be done. Okay, where are we now? Anybody else? Okay. Consent agenda. Approval of minutes from July 8th, 2025, regular council meeting. Approval of resolution 25-25, lodger's tax disbursement for Kiwanis Club Ditch Run. Resolution 2526, lodger's tax disbursement for Main Street Fine Arts Show ad. Resolution 2527, lodger's tax disbursement for Main Street Starry Night. Resolution 2528, lodger's tax disbursement for the Christmas parade by the CEAC. Approval of resolution 2529, lodger's tax disbursement for Corral Society of Arts, Art in the Park. Approval of resolution 2530, lodger's tax for the Corrales Historical Society Fine Arts Show. We have a year-end bar, resolution 2531, quarterly report 2532, 2533, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2526, and then approval of resolution 2534, approving fixed assets list. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, I have a question on one of those.
Okay.
Not necessarily to remove it, but I do have a question.
Okay,
Now?
sure.
Okay. So on resolution 2529, Art in the Park. I'm curious, I don't know if anybody's here from the Society of Artists, but I'm curious as to why the printing of 3 banners and postcards using Corrales lodger's tax money was contract with a printing company in Burbank, California, and not in Corrales or New Mexico. I don't know if anybody's here from there.
We can't answer that question.
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay, I just want to raise that. I think all the others are local or Albuquerque, but I don't see any reason why it has to go to Burbank, California for that.
It may have been the lowest price.
Councilor Burkett has a question.
Oh, Councilor Burkett.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss 31 separately if that's possible. The bar.
So really to discuss them, we should get a motion to, actually, we should get a motion to pull it off the consent agenda.
Oh, should we get a motion to approve the consent agenda and then make the motion to pull it
That's
off?
probably the better way to do it.
Yeah, so if we
Okay,
can get a
so
motion to approve.
the agenda.
So move.
In a second. Okay.
Second with the discussion.
Right.
We have a motion and to approve in a second.
Okay,
So
now
Council-
Councilor Burkett could make his
Very
motion to
good, Very
remove.
good. Go ahead, Councilor Burkett.
Motion to remove -31 from the consent agenda.
The year-end bar.
Correct.
Okay.
Mayor, Councilor Murray.
And then
Councilor Murray?
I would like to pull 2525, and along with 31, I'd like to pull 32 and 33 as well.
Okay, so you're saying we need to amend the motion to be, we're going to pull off resolutions 2531, 2525, 2532, and 2533?
Yes.
I'll
Council-
second that.
Okay. All those in favor we can't do it. Do we have to do a,
No, it can be a.
this
a-
is just to take them.
Yeah, this is just to take it
All
off.
those
so
in
it can
favor
be-
signify by saying aye.
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 Let's start with 2525. So I can find it.
Me too.
So that would be the ditch run
Yes.
request.
What page you show that on?
It's on 43.
Thank you.
Resolution to authorize the disbursement of $1,000 to Kiwanis Club of Carouse for the purpose of funding the Carouse Ditch Run as recommended by the Lodgers Tax Board.
Mayor, it's come to my attention that the Kiwanis Club wanted to use the Lodgers tax to purchase T-shirts. And I think that is a reasonable cost because if we're advertising some event in the village, the T-shirts are a good way to do it. Mr. Tager, I don't know, is that allowable under the Lodgers tax?
You want to change the $1,000 to something else?
Yes, I want to.
Yes, it's allowable.
I want to, if it's allowable, I'm going to change it from $1,000 to $2,500.
2,500 is what they ask.
Yes,
Is that a form of a motion?
yes.
Now we're making motions on top of motions. I hope you're keeping track of this, Melanie.
Yep, I'm on it.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second to that one.
Of course she is.
Okay. Any more discussion about that?
Well, I just want to, does Mr. Tager have any, is there an objection for T-shirts being used in the lodger's tax?
No, the lodgers tax funds are supposed to be used for anything promoting tourism. And the T-shirts are part of the whole event, so I don't think anybody would nickel dime.
Yeah, it was my impression that the Lodgers Tax Commission didn't think that was a viable expense, but that's why I want to make the motion.
We understand. You made the motion. It's been seconded.
Okay.
So the Lodgers Tax Best Practices Handbook that's issued by the state of New Mexico does list as alternative uses for lodgers tax, an event, attraction, or product in which the marketing, promotion, or advertising is not beyond the 60-mile radius, which generates a better return of investment on new increased visitors in a new and increased spend. So I think if they, if the ditch run puts the little, the same wording that we have them put on the advertising, which is funded in part by the lodgers tax, I think they've asked that we change the wording just a little bit. I think that would be an allowable
Yeah,
expenditure.
I would also suggest too that maybe the village needs to adopt a policy because I can see this really getting out of control. If we have a large event and we have somebody else that comes in here and says, hey, we want to make $10,000 worth of T-shirts. I think we need to have a policy where there's a limit on it, purchases like that. But anyway, that's just an
Well,
opinion.
the limit is the Lodgers Tax Board. They review it all.
Yeah.
Just like they reviewed this and they felt like that was an unnecessary expense. But you can change, the council can change that.
Okay, very good.
Anyone else? Councilor Knight?
Can I ask, where did you get the 2,500 at?
It was on their application.
Okay,
I think
Page
it was,
44.
okay.
It's the next page.
Yeah, if you look in their original application, it's kind of more in the middle on the right-hand side, amount requested. And then up at the top is a handwritten what the Lodgers Tax Board approved to give them.
Oh, okay.
Councilor Burkett, did you have anything you want to add?
Not on 25. Nope.
Okay. Councilor Burkett, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
And Councilor Murray?
yes.
Okay, so that was to amend the resolution to change the amount that we are giving them to $2,500. Now we need to approve the resolution itself.
I move that we approve the resolution with the amended amount.
I second.
Okay. Councilor Murray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Burkett?
Yep.
Okay, that one's done. Thank you, Melanie. All
Thank
right,
you.
now we're going to move to, let's see,
2531?
2531, year-end bar.
All right. So on 31, my question is in the second group of bars in the 349 dash, all three of those bars are related to the general obligation bond.
Can you not hear me?
Can you hear me?
Councilor Burkett, we just one
Wait a
moment,
second.
please.
Yep.
Counselor and council, I just want to make on the bar, on some of the other ones, the budget. Any answers that you'll come up with, I want you to know that the bar was developed on a team effort with Jolene in the lead, Tanya assisting, Rena Aragon, who is also on the Zoom tonight, and Javier Machuca, along with Melanie and myself, as we go through these processes. So I just wanted to make you aware of the fact that, with the exception of Javier, everybody else is here and available to help answer any questions on some of these items that you'll be discussing next.
Okay, sorry, Zach, go ahead now.
No problem. So in the second grouping of bar items, in the 349 dash group, there's 3 items related to the GO bond. One is to create a revenue account for 2.4 million, which makes sense. One is $1 million for other contractual, which is vague, but probably on brand with the vagueness we have in our budget. The last one though, the 1.4 million GO bond capital equipment and machinery. Just wanted to get more information on that because my understanding is that 2 million of it is going to be for conservation easements. And I'm not sure conservation easements fall under the category of capital equipment and machinery. So wanted to get some clarification on that.
Ron?
Oh, I hear Raina.
Yeah,
Would you like me to answer that?
please.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Council. Councilor Burkett, that 349 is all that 2024 gold bond cash. You already got the bond. The reason we are borrowing this is it was not budgeted this year in the beginning of the year, because this is one that we did in the beginning. So it was a zero balance. So basically we just, every time we put revenue in there, we have to put an expenditure somewhere. So we just picked a couple places to put it. That doesn't mean we're spending it there. This is year-end bar. Tanya might have the information in front of her about what was actually, if anything, spent this year. But this is just a placeholder to budget the money. And keep in mind, this is last fiscal year. This is 25. We're not doing 26 right now.
And yes, thank you, Raina, for that. And I do have a little bit more. So that is last year's. We did spend money. You spent some money on a company that's doing some surveys or something. It was a contractual expense, so we needed to put some money in that line item. And then the other line item that had expenditures in 2024 was for the grader. Because remember, Public Works got $200,000, Fire got $200,000, and Farmland got $2 million. So that grader was in that capital line item. So we just, to make that so you didn't have a line item with a bar with 6, 7 different line items, because that budget is over, we put it into the 2 line items that were spent out of. So if you look at your actual budget on page 62, we spent $11,047.93 on, I want to say something called Alta. I can't think of the name of it, but it was a company that was doing some surveys.
That's Michael Cisco.
Thank you. It for Michael Cisco. And then the other one was $189,580. And that was the grader for Public Works. So we just put them in those lines because this budget is over. And once you have them in a budget, you can move them throughout line items without having to go to council. So if you bought land, you can move it to the land capital for the next budget. Does that answer your question?
I think it does. I mean, so it sounds like it was for efficiency in bar just to get them in less lines. I guess my next question, and I looked at this, but I'll look closer at it as we get to the end, is for this year's budget, is there a line that more accurately represents what we're planning on doing with that money, or is it still listed under capital equipment and machinery?
We just carried it over on capital equipment and machinery and in that contractual services for Michael Cisco. And that will, but that's easily moved. If you issue a purchase order for a survey or a real estate purchase or any of those, it's called a green sheet, a budget transfer. You can move it and it takes a department head and a finance officer and it's moved within 3 minutes. It doesn't take an act of council. So it's for efficiency, so you don't have a huge budget of line items that may or may not be spent. It was just put there.
It just feels like, from a transparency point, if somebody wanted to take the time to get online and review our budget, it would be nice if they could see that 2 million was set aside for conservation easements instead of part of it being tucked under contractual stuff and part of it being tucked under capital equipment, and us knowing internally that we're planning to move that, but externally, there's no visibility to that.
Thank you, Counselor and Mayor. I do see you're on that, but we don't know what you're gonna spend it out of for purchasing land. A lot of it will be contractual services to go through, and land purchase may be a contract, because we're not purchasing. If we're doing easements, it will be contractual services, but you might have some capital, because if we purchase any land we own, it'll need to be in the 4,800 line items. So, but it all comes to you, so it will be clear because you vote on it in public on all of those.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, we need a motion to approve that
Councilor
resolution.
Murray?
Yeah, I was just wanting to clarify that this bar brings us then into compliance with the end of year budget. Is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Okay,
Motion, so moved.
in a second.
Second.
Okay, how do you vote, Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
And Councilor Burkett?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next one is going to be the 25-32 fourth quarter report. And that one is on,
76.
yeah, I'm stuck on 73. Here we are. Okay. So who wanted to see that? Is that you, Stuart? Yes.
Thank you. So on the first line under general fund and over under column 7, it says investments. And the amount is like $3,966,900 or $578. Is that the LGIP?
Yes, it is.
Well, then why does it not match the LGIP value at the very end? Because you report in the last page, it's $4 million and change.
Raina worked on this one with her.
Raina, can you answer that question?
I am here and you're talking about, let me go see what he's talking about. Just a minute.
The interest is $180 something thousand. So that's where your difference is.
Is it because that difference is in the bar and the bar has to be approved and then the fourth quarter report will be amended?
Yes.
So it has to be with sequences. That's right.
Okay. All right. Then
Just a minute, let me look.
We okay?
Oh, it fell down?
Thank
Counselor Murray is actually right on that. That investment schedule should match the last page.
So the 180,000 should be in line 7?
No, line 7 should be the 4 million.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Plus 3.
Either that or the last page should be the 3,966, depending on what that LGIP number is.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just curious because they didn't seem to match and that was what I was worried about.
But I think she's.
No, you're correct.
That's a good worry. It's
But-
180 grand.
Yeah, you're correct.
But that is with that investment interest being thrown into that, which is a different line item, correct? Because it's in 30600 for the bar.
Oh, I'm trying to think. Hold on. Is it that, Jolene, is that 4 million correct on LGIP? 4
Yes,
million?
yes, Raina, it is.
I think that's what,
Yeah, I think line 1 should be the 4 million.
Okay. Good pickup.
also, I was curious about that. At the end, looks like we were over $400,000 in the good. Does that mean that we spent within the budget? Is that correct?
We always spend within the budget.
Not necessarily. I would beg to differ because the audit kind of indicated last year that we were in deficit, even though we had enough funds to cover everything. But I'm just curious about the 450,000. What now with that money? Where does it go?
Council, Mayor, Administrator Curry, yes, we're good.
We did spend less.
Yeah, but where's that money go now? Is it go back into the Wells Fargo Bank and sits forever until we get ready to use it?
So Counselor, Mayor, Administrator Curry, yes, so it's in the Wells Fargo account, and right now, in the beginning of your budget year, you need to keep money in that Wells Fargo account because we're still waiting on reimbursements from the state. So for about 3 months, 3 months, we operate off your cash in your bank. So we really like it when we have leftover cash at the end of the budget until we start getting reimbursements in from the state and gross receipts tax.
Yeah.
The first 3 months are kind of, I don't want to say tight, but they're different because we're waiting on that stuff from.
Yeah, I understand that the gross receipts is 2 months in arrears from when they post it, or, whenever we get it. So I understand that, but I just wanted to make sure that we were in the black.
Oh, this year, we actually had a meeting with Ron and everybody today, and we're talking about how we didn't have to use any previous year cash for this budget.
Good. Thank you.
And Counselor Burkett has a question, I believe.
Counselor Burkett.
I do. Excuse me. On page 78, about halfway down the page, there's a line interest on investments that's got a $67,000 adjustment. But the math is not working on that. 171 plus 67,000 does not equal 185,000.
I know, I can answer that, Ron.
Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
Are you talking about 344, Counselor Burkett?
I don't see a number next to it. It's on page 78. It's interest on investments shows we initially budgeted 171 and then we had an adjustment of 67 for a total of 185.
Page 78.
Counselor, because Raina does not have a packet, neither do we. Is that on the quarterly?
It's on the quarterly, yeah, under general fund municipality. So it's second page of the quarterly. There's kind of an overview page and then the first page of detail. It's there, almost dead center halfway down
No,
the page.
it's just above where it says total general fund revenues. It's 2.2 lines up. Interest on investments 171, subtraction of 67, and then it says 185. I kind of wonder if maybe the 67 is an error.
Yeah.
Raina,
No, I believe that 185 is an error, Mayor.
no, that's
So those,
five's correct, Raina. That's from your bar.
oh, Counselor Burkett, I remember what happened. The last bar that you did, Tanya, correct me if I'm wrong. The last bar that was already barred, and so it kind of, is that the one that doubled it, Tanya?
Correct. So that is.
So we started with 171. And then we took out 67. And then we added, I don't know what the last bar was, so.
So the bar they just did is the one that brings it to 185. And that was 181,000 to bring it to 185, but it's the culmination of all your bars over this whole year. And it goes into, and I didn't work on this piece, but it goes into LGBMS and it has to show all the bars, not just the bar that you did yesterday or the one you did 2 weeks ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, Raina, and that's why it's there.
No, you're correct. So Counselor Murray, it is actually, when you see the final report, you actually have $185,000 budget there.
Okay.
So it's Counselor Burkett who raised that question, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Counselor
It's
Burkett.
all right. We all heard you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Yeah,
And Raina, that is interest primarily, right?
all interest.
Right. So
That's all interest, correct.
I understood right then, the summation of all the bars together, we still, 67,000 was pulled out. Is that right? And then that,
No, we had to add money because we only budgeted, go to page 1 of the budget. We only budgeted, I think so much. And then we We tried to balance instead of doing bars, we tried to move the money in your revenue by doing budget transfers. So if you say you're going to make $10,000 in interest, but you only make 5, but planning and zoning brings in 20 in plotting, but they only budgeted for 15, without coming to council, we can move those to balance so we don't have an audit finding. So if we go to page 1 of the budget, and it's going to be down to the bottom of the first page, I believe, of revenue. Where is interest? Oh, go back to second page of revenue. Yep, second page, second item is 36,030. We started at 171,000. We thought we were going to get an interest, but we got 185. So we had to do, we had to adjust the budget to 185, and then we brought in $184,321.32. So it was moving, it's not moving money, it's moving budget numbers around, which is not cash to meet those numbers. And the quarterly is really, Jolene's done a really good job. This is only your second quarterly, on learning them, because it's not always math. It's meeting what is in another system that doesn't use our same fund codes. So that number could be from 4 different things that don't even have to do with interest, but on our budget, they do with interest.
It seems
It's
like,
really, and she'd be happy for you to sit and learn it with her.
well, I understand, and the county's not my purview, and it's like you wave your hands and you say, now a miracle occurs, and then there it is.
Correct. And it's like, fire fund has its own budget, but when you go to do budget with the state and we put our budget in for the quarterly upload, it's public safety. So it's fire and police. And then there's other that gets library. So it even though it looks like it should match your budget, it doesn't always match your budget because it's not the same numbers when they go to state. They lump them all in piles.
Can I ask one more question then? Are these columns not formulas? I mean, are we manually populating the numbers in all these columns? Because it seems like if 171, if column A plus column B is supposed to equal column C, that the table would be wrong. And it looks like that's the way it is on all the other ones. But it looks like it had to be manually populated because the math wouldn't work otherwise.
Counselor Burkett, you're correct. That's how it's supposed to be.
Is that it's supposed to be formulaic and not manually entered. So,
Correct.
So what happened here? How come the formula is incorrect on this column for this figure?
I couldn't answer that.
Councilman Burkett, on the form, the column that says the actuals year to date is what I fill in. And I also fill in the budget adjustment because those are our adjustments that we've made. The rest of it are formulas.
Okay.
So you
And-
look at the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and this form is given to us by the state, so a lot of it is locked down except for those 2 columns.
I mean, then there's something wrong with column 3 on this line or on this row because I'm not super good at math, but that one I could see.
Mayor, I would suggest that if you do approve this, that for just the interest on investments in the budget adjustment column, that $60,000 be changed.
And Raina, adjust line item 1, item 7. The LGIP money? Yes, they're asking.
And I would suggest you do that too.
So what did you say do with the 67,000?
So Jolene could go and pull all her bars and get the actual amount of all of them together, added and subtracted and get it all together.
Because
And
that's,
put that in
that's one of your columns that you get to add is the budget adjustments.
Yes.
Whereas the others
Good.
are the approved budget or and the adjusted budget, and those come from DFA, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we don't have,
The approved budget is put in the beginning of the year.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Boy, it's a real muddle, isn't it? Okay,
All right, so I will make the motion then that we approve this with those two adjustments.
okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
This is for 2532, correct?
Correct.
Wait a minute. Let me make sure of that. Yes, 2532, the fourth quarter report. How do you vote, Councilor Murray?
Yes.
2 points.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
And Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the final budget, 2533. Do I have a motion to
Yeah.
approve the final budget for fiscal year 2526?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. What did you want to, what were your questions about this?
Okay, this has to do with the old church and the funding, especially under account 337-1630. I think that is, and I do not like, well, anyway, I will get down here. Yeah, it's on page 44 of the budget. And we have allocated $275,000 as a legislative appropriation. Now, is that for the restoration of the church or is that something entirely different?
So that was to do the plaster and the electrical upgrades.
Okay. Mayor, I think we need to pull money and make it available for work now instead of waiting for a legislative appropriation. My concern is that it was like Mr. Martinez said, if this languishes, that church is unusable for 6 or 7 months until we have a legislative session. So what I would propose is taking $150,000 out of our LGIP and applying that to the church to allow them to move forward with construction. And then we'll adjust the legislative appropriation for the difference between that 150,000, unless we've got 150,000 pulled.
Would you like for me to say anything or you?
Counselor, I think based upon the fact that we've got cash right now, my recommendation would be to use that cash and then look at it in 3 months. Go ahead and use the cash, the $150,000 straight out of what we get appropriate out of the cash that we've got now, and then look at it in 3 months. And that if we need to move money from the LGIP back into our budget, we'd do it then. But I
Well,
believe that we've got enough cash right now.
It's not a budget item though. That's the problem.
Well, but that's fine. I agree with you. But I think that we've got the cash to move into the budget, and then we can look at it in 3 months so that we can preserve the corpus of the LGIP.
Okay, so are you happy with 150,000 or should we go with the full?
I would,
Do the 200.
I would go for 200.
Well, we have actually, and I've been reprimanded for this, by the way, because I said we would take care of it. And apparently somebody didn't like for me to say that. Yeah, she's still here. So it's a team effort between the Historical Society and the Village of Corrales. We're going to try to raise the money. We would like for people to buy in so there's an ownership to it. Donate some funds as they can. And raise as much as we want. Now, raise as much as the Historical Society can. Now, they're trying to come up with $35,000, and we will certainly come up with the rest.
Well, I would also can we do this as a village as a 2-for-1 match? I mean, if they're willing to donate $10, we match $20 to that donation. Can we do that?
Well,
I mean, up to a 200,000.
I think sure we can do whatever, but I think we're going to do whatever. The Historical Society and the village administration is going to do whatever's necessary to get this building fixed, because I agree with you. Ron agrees with you. They agree with you. It is very important to the village that this get fixed, it get upgraded, the electricity's improved, they get air conditioning and heating, and the walls get fixed. All that's, yes, we're on board.
Okay, well then what would we use the legislative appropriation for then?
No, we'll use the legislative. That'll do what they're working right now. As soon as this came up, we told them to keep working and figure out how much more we have to come up with. They're still working.
The legislative appropriation was for the original start of the project. The 200,000 is for the damage that they found when doing the project funded by the legislative
So
funding.
are we looking at $500,000 then?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Close to.
Okay, all right.
You okay with
Yeah,
that?
well, yeah, I'm
So-
fine with that, but that,
Yes, sir.
it wasn't, it didn't seem to indicate to me that we were moving forward with that way.
Well, we try. We do the best we can. We sometimes fly under the radar.
Mayor, I
Yes,
think
sir.
it's a really good direction, but I'm curious about where the $200,000 figure came from. Is that a contractor's firm estimate?
Tanya?
That came from, part of it's firm, part of it's guesstimate. So we need 290,000. And then we've already told them to go ahead with that to repair the walls that were already unmudded and put a base coat of mud. I'm calling it a base coat and a top coat because the top coat's the color coat. It's kind of like paint. And that would put a base coat of mud. And leave some money for a top coat. But we didn't want to put a top coat on if we can't take all the other mud off. So for that damage, 290,000, and that includes the upgrade to the electrical. When they got into the roof, they found that increased by $9,000 because of the wiring that had been done in the roof could not be reutilized at all. So 290 gets it back to all the mud that's been removed, the walls stabilized, and then mud put back on them. And some stuff with the floors, because areas of the floors, some of the mud was 2 inches thick, some of the mud was 6 to 10 inches thick. It looks like they just, if there was a problem, you just added more mud to it. So there's going to be some floors that have to be moved, or the walls aren't going to meet them. Does all that. Then it's an extra 71,000 to unmud and remud the rest that has not been removed. That is without any damage. So I am estimated damage, let's say $50,000, because we don't know. Maybe we'll find nothing under those walls. Great. Maybe we're going to find damage. We needed some money. And then the heating and air conditioning is estimated at 67,000. We got a good price quote on that. However, the Historical Society has asked for engineering. I'm waiting to get the price back for engineering on the air conditioning instead of just using manual J. I'm expecting that to cost 15 to 20. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I'm waiting for that to come back.
Okay, so we will see a bar for the amount that we need to move into the budget so that it's all covered.
Well, we're doing the budget now, so.
I still think the recommendation right now should be $200,000. That comes from that goes into the budget from right now from what we have in cash.
Do we need an amendment?
Yes.
Okay, I would move that we approve $200,000 excess cash to be moved into the budget for the restoration of the old church.
Second, is that the wording you want?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. So it's been moved.
I don't know that we need excess. I would just say cash.
Yeah, well, okay, cash.
Yeah.
So it's
I just
excess
have
to
a
me.
question before we vote. Is that going to be enough?
If it isn't, we'll find some more.
The Historical Society has pledged $35,000 already, and we're working really hard as a team. We meet every Wednesday at 2, working as a team really to try to drive the fundraising efforts so they can rebuild their rock fund, which is their rehabilitation of the church fund, and continue helping us with this.
Do we have an estimate about timeline of how completed the repairs?
So I am supposed to have, they restarted work today. I'm supposed to have a meeting with the contractor soon for them to give us a timeline. Historical Society would really like them out the first week of August because there's a wedding planned. September, I'm sorry. I told you I needed you here. So they're hoping, but that is going to drive the price up. I was already told by the contractor, if you want it out that quickly because of all we have to do, that may drive the price up. But when I did the walls to the old church when it flooded, the side that's so bad right now, we had damage on the outside of that wall. They had to put helica piers in to lift it, and Historical Society paid for that. So we were kind of worried that side was, we're hoping that's the brunt of the damage. We're really hopeful.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
So is the contractor, is his background in working with Adobe then?
So I have two contractors. I have a contractor through the state that has a state contract, and they went out and got bids from two different historical rehab contractors. One of them was about 30,000 higher. We went with the lower priced one, which would have been the one that Historical Society, if they were not having to go through the village, if they could just write a check to someone, would have been the one they would have wanted, but they were the lower priced, and they did the outside of the church as well. And the ones doing that are restoration. The electricity is not through a restoration they would not do that. So that is how it worked. So it worked really quickly. And it's been a really good price, actually. I've been very happy with it. And the contractor was great about saying, we need to stop. We want to be able to use your 275,000 to make sure you've got something you could use. Well, you look at, you can find more money instead of just saying, well, we got to keep going. So they've been a really good contractor to work with. And they've been receptive with, they don't take direction from the Historical Society because it's our contract, but they meet with them and they get the information, they go back and I'm like, yes, definitely, we need to do that. They're the experts on the church.
We have motion second.
We have a motion. Ann, would you like to speak briefly? Since you came and. So this is Ann Van Camp. She's the president of the Carouse Historical Society, and she's the one who gave us the call when the building all fell apart.
I just have to say, the cooperation we've had from the village with Tanya has been extraordinary. She's just awesome to work with, and she gave us a whole lot of confidence that we were going to be able to do this. She came to our first meeting and she looked around the table at our board and she said, I'm seeing a lot of very unhappy faces here, very worried people, which we are. And she said, the only time I want you to be really worried is when I look worried. So I just have to say, she's been a really great person to work with. But the Historical Society is really dedicated to making this work. We have to do this. And our whole board unanimously approved the whole rock fund to be thrown at this project. That's $35,000. We launched a major fundraising campaign right after that. We've already raised $23,000 in addition to the 35. So we're going to keep doing that because if there are unanticipated expenses on top of the $200,000 that you all are going to give us, we're going to keep going and we're going to make sure that we have that money. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay.
I think.
Anybody else? Zach, you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to vote on the amendment or the change to the budget to add the $200,000 for the old church.
Okay. So we're voting on Stuart's request for the cash $200,000. All right. How do you vote, Stuart?
Yes.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Councilwoman?
Yes.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
All right. So now, can we vote on the entire?
No, Mayor, I've got a couple other items I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
There were some new line items that were added since the last budget talks. One of them, I think, I think it's the Corrales interior drain. It's 136,000. Is that true?
In here?
Okay.
Interior drain. Where is that, Stuart?
I have to go find it myself.
No, sir, the interior drain should be like 1,500 left in that.
I'm not used to this.
I am not either.
Oh, mine.
Would it be easier for Jolene to tell you what was changed between this budget and the preliminary budget?
Probably would. There are several items that look like they were new and added since the last.
No, so that we really didn't have any added line items, so.
Well, legislative appropriations.
Oh, so.
I'm sorry. I should have been more distinct.
So in the 337s?
Yes.
Getting there. We wanted to make it readable. So lots of pages.
Yeah, I think it's on page 54. Yeah, there's a request. I see. Yeah, well, it's only $2,970. I guess it's what you're requesting.
54. So it's
But that was one of the ones that there was.
that. So that's was my fund. So 337-3230, Counselor Mayor. That is what's left over from the interior drain capital funding. Amy Bell's company has one more draw they can make, which is about half of that, and then that will leave us with 1,500. And I think if you want an accurate number, you can email Jolene, $70. But that's just the carryover from the previous years that hasn't been drawn down.
Okay. And. Oh, so I'm taking issue with the charging stations because I don't know, for some reason I was under the impression that when we approved the site plan for the parking area, that the charging stations were included in that, not out to Anderson property or the Gonzalez, and which there are no site plans for. But yet we have a legislative appropriation for $100,000 for those charging stations.
So there is the charging stations, the electricity, there's no grant left for this. This is a zero budget for next year.
Really? Okay.
I can't answer the rest, but I can tell you that it's a zero budget.
I think a very, very early draft of the parking lot plan showed a charging station here at the Village Hall complex, and then that was removed at some point. So the final plan that went to planning and zoning did not have any charging stations in the site development plan.
Well, I was thinking there were 3 that were allocated over here on the north fence line.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, one of the early drafts did have that, but it was decided if we were going to have charging stations, the first place that was the most likely to get an electric vehicle would be the police department, and it didn't make any sense to have the charging stations over there if the police department is here and they're parking their vehicles here. And then there wasn't the infrastructure right there. So we thought we would come back to that if that came to pass, that there's an electric vehicle that would work for police pursuit.
Okay. All right.
But then we already had the legislative funding. So.
All right.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, to adopt the final budget for fiscal year 20, a motion and a second?
Correct.
Okay. How do you vote, Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Councilor Woolman?
Yes.
Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Okay, so all we have left are the Main Street Fine Arts Show, Main Street Starry Night, Christmas Parade, Art in the Park, Fine Arts Show, and Fixed Assets List. Do I have a motion to approve those?
We already have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Counselor Knight
Oh,
made the
that's right,
motion.
very beginning.
Counselor
Thank you,
Mira.
thank
Yeah.
you.
All done.
So now we can just take a vote.
All done.
Okay, how do you vote, Councilor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
And Councilor Murray?
Yes.
And Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Okay. Boy. If I didn't have gray hair already, I'd really have gray.
Keeping me on my toes tonight.
Well, thank you for taking notes. I tell you, I'm just having a hard time finding things in this booklet. Yeah, okay. So announcements and future agenda items, we're going to do a work study to discuss the noise ordinance options on July 29th at 3 p.m. here. We will be on Zoom. Okay. Approval of ordinance 25-02, amending the capital improvements plan for the far northwest sector of the village and listing the impact fees on August 12th. Presentation from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission on August 12th. And approval of the annual MOU with Corrales Main Street on August 12th. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to put on?
And the resolution that I had mentioned earlier,
What resolution is that?
Lot coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, lot coverage. That's right. Okay.
It's already on my board, Counselor.
Can I add one thing as well?
Sure.
I just want to make sure that it's clear that the plans for the Corrales interior drain were not super well received, and I agree with some of the comments that it's overly manicured. Unfortunately, I know when a professional company does it, they have all these pesky rules and safety things that they have to follow. But I want to make sure all this time, energy, and money that the commission has put into that doesn't just go to waste, and we do something down there, that we clean it up, we make it safer, that it just doesn't disappear into the shadows, all the work that they did. So
We-
I'd love to see that come up sooner than later.
We agree with you.
Okay.
Mayor?
It may be in a phase. Yes.
Let me add to that too, because I have gotten a lot of emails about people wanting to leave it as is. That they
But
like.
they want it
dirt.
cleaned up.
I know, but they like it as is, whether it's cleaned up or not. But I'm going to make my point. What I want to make known is I have 4 priorities that I have for the interior drain. One is emergency response, fire suppression, safe routes, safe routes to schools and safe streets. And then also the step system or sewer line that needs to run down that line at Andrews Lane at some point. I thought Councilor Burkett would have brought it up when Chief Martinez was up there on the podium, but I didn't step on his toes or anything like that.
I think we're all on the same page, Stuart.
Yeah, but that's I'm making it publicly known that those 4 priorities are my concern right now. Everything else is on the table.
And the cleanup part, is to clean up, brush and trashy weeds and stuff like that, because we are trying to prevent fires.
Yes.
We are the best, prevention is the best thing for fire control.
I know, and people like potholes, but it impedes on our emergency response.
Well, as you get a fire line down there, a fire pipe down there, a fire suppression line down there, and you get fire hydrants there, it won't be as perhaps big a deal. Although, I think Steve and those guys, Steve's gone. Those guys like to keep it cleaned up, make it easier for people to get around.
Yeah.
They like to ride the grader down there.
Well, the east side of Andrews Lane used to be really rough. I bounced my head off the roof.
I had a
of my car.
partner get stuck back there one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just my stance right now.
I think we do need some clarification on the JPA. It just says that the village will maintain, and we don't really have a definition of what that means.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of our next steps is
Okay.
to kind of get
Now, we're
together. And
meeting with the MRGCD.
we are.
sometime.
We do have a meeting scheduled with Jason and Eric in August,
First week
first part of August.
Yeah, it's like August 4th or something.
Yeah, and I do believe that's one of the items on our agenda is to just kind of clarify, what do they consider maintenance?
Yes, that's,
Under that-
that was
that
my
agreement.
concern too. If we did not maintain that, did that JPA, would it dissolve or be rescinded?
Right.
So.
Okay, we finished the business session. Meeting is adjourned.